This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, how are you doing this week?
Tom, I'm a little too amped. I made my own cold brew this week, and I made it way too strong. I didn't realize that you had to dilute it with water.
Oh, yeah. I mean, did it taste incredibly strong?
Yeah.
Had you not been making cold brew yourself? You've been buying it elsewhere?
I've been buying it for like $5.50 a pop.
That's the thing. It's so expensive, and it's very easy to make. It's just it takes, you can't make it when you want it. You gotta make it ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. You know what I found the most challenging?
What's that?
Getting a
cheesecloth?
No, I got cheesecloth at the wazoo.
Yeah, you're
Tom.
usually wearing at least some garment made out of cheesecloth on your body at all times.
Yeah, I'm very crafty.
Right now, you're wearing a long sleeve cheesecloth shirt.
It's nice, but it's got pockets.
Mm-hmm.
See these pockets? Those are made of cheesecloth too, Tom.
Lets air and water in, but doesn't let anything out.
Yeah. No, getting the coarse grind.
Oh,
I don't have a coffee grinder, Tom.
Oh, what do you use? Your teeth?
No, I had to go to a place.
You have to go to a place. What does that mean?
Why
are you being so cagey about this?
All right, so here's my coffee situation.
Uh-huh.
I brew coffee every morning, but I have one of these all-in-one. You pour the beans in.
Oh, I see.
It grinds the beans right there, and then make it so it's nice. It's fresh grind.
You're right.
Eric Nice style, right?
Uh-huh.
For the cold brew.
Yeah,
you know, I can't put it in that machine. It'll start brewing.
You couldn't do it without putting. I don't know I've never had one of those. I know what you're talking about, but I've never had one of those.
It's got a bird grinder in it.
A bird grinder?
A bird grinder. It's very cold.
But there's not a way to just like start it, but trick it by not putting water in.
But guess what? It's not amateur hour over on the cold brew side, except for the fact that I didn't know that you had to dilute it. That part is amateur hour.
So it sounds like that's
literally
like one of the
amateur.
3 things you need to know.
You need a coarse grind.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm getting from my
because you don't want a coarse grind from a drip coffee.
So I had to go to a coffee a roastery, and the roastery had to grind it for me in a coarse grind, and they were like, I was like, can I get this ground coarsely? And they're like, well, what do you need it for? And I was like, cold brew.
You're beeswax what I need it for.
No, I told them cold brew, and they said, oh, okay, yeah, you're right, coarse. And I was like, yeah, I know. This is an amateur hour. And he's like, do you know about the diluting? I was like, shut up.
Yeah, I know about the I know. You don't
whatever.
dilute it. You drink it straight. I got it. Did you buy their coffee or did you bring coffee from
bought
home?
their coffee,
okay.
Yeah.
Because I would have been so proud of you if you just marched up there with your whole bean Dunkin' Donuts. Excuse me, I need this ground.
Coarse. Idiot.
Yeah. I think cold brew is maybe the only thing you do like a coarse ground for. But what else?
French press, my friend.
Oh, okay. Which is kind of like
it's where it's just sitting
brew.
right in there.
Yeah.
It's a hot brew, but you know.
Right. But that's what makes it fast. That's hot.
Exactly.
E equals MC square. Speed makes heat.
Momentum,
energy,
friction, all that.
Friction. Yeah. Long story short, look, if you're making a French press, you also need the coarse grounds. Tim, I was going to let you in on a little cold brew secret.
Ooh.
I don't know if you really need coarse grounds. I think it's fine with like a medium grounds.
I just wanted to do it the right way, and then I did everything else wrong.
I think actually, if anything, the medium grounds will probably just make it stronger.
Yeah.
Because it makes too much surf, and you're going to get like a little more grit, I think, coming out of the thing.
I got a really, I like quadrupled up that cheesecloth. I
got
a lot of cheesecloth.
If you didn't get it coarsely ground, if you got it medium or perhaps even finely ground, especially if you got it finely ground.
Makes me sick to think that somebody's out there making cold brew with finely ground coffee.
That's for espressos, you idiot.
Hey, idiot. That's for espressos, I think.
Yeah. I've got to start making cold brew. Yeah, it's a little too hot for hot brew nowadays.
Oh, I do hot brew in the morning and cold brew in the afternoon.
Can I tell you what I've been doing in the afternoons? Oh, boy, this is going to make you so mad. You're going to be so upset.
Awesome. I can't wait.
I drink G Fuel.
G Fuel?
Gamer Fuel.
It doesn't make me upset. It makes me sad for you.
No, but here's why I got some.
What is G Fuel? What is gamer?
It's gamer fuel, Tim. It's fuel for being a gamer.
Is
but
it like
you can
a
use
Mountain
it.
Dew thing?
No, it's like a Kool-Aid kind of thing. It's like
what?
It's powder, and then you mix it with water.
Okay.
But this is why I got it. Maybe I'll give you some. It's too late.
Does it have
at night for you to have
electrolytes?
G Fuel.
Tom, I can drink anything at any time of
Tim,
day.
the past few weeks you've been saying that I had a cold brew this afternoon. Now I can't sleep.
No, I'm raring to go. Tom,
okay.
I don't sleep. I can't. I'm not allowed to sleep.
Yeah, well, we'll get into why that is. You're on the run from the law. But the reason why I got this G Fuel, Tim, this gamer fuel, as it were, is guess what flavor I've got? Guess what flavor they make G Fuel in?
Buffalo.
No. Oh, I think they do, actually.
What? They make it sound like...
They make a lot of weird flavors. They might...
Buffalo sauce?
They might have made a buffalo. Maybe it's not currently available, but...
What flavor would you like?
I'll tell you what flavor I'd like, because it's the one I've ordered and that I drink.
What is it?
Swedish Fish.
That's too sweet, Tom.
It's not too sweet.
You know how they say, like, if you juice fruit, it's terrible for you because you need the fiber there.
That's true for Swedish Fish.
Yeah,
too.
you need the fiber in the Swedish.
There's no fiber in Swedish Fish.
Well, it's something's chewy.
I don't know. What is that? Hot glue or something?
Yeah.
Chewy stuff. Glue, gelatin, maybe.
It's a gelatin glue mixture.
Some kind of gelatin. No, it's fine. I drink it just straight without any gelatin or glue in it.
That seems a little too indulgent.
No, it's nice. It's not. Does
it turn your teeth? Does it turn your mouth all red?
Probably, because it turns the plastic cup I drink it out of all red.
What's the viscosity of this thing?
It's very viscous. It's got
Does
the viscosity
it coat everything?
Oh no! Wait, what is viscous? What's very viscous and what's not very viscous?
Oh. Huh.
Because I would
thought
say
viscous is thicker.
Right, but when you think about viscosity, it's like, oh, if you want viscosity, you want things moving along, right?
I don't think so.
So then I would think, because if only there were a way to find out.
The world will never know.
But basically, it has the viscosity of water with some powder in it. Okay. A little bit of powder. It's like a little teeny, comes a little scoop guy.
What do you think, like a tablespoon?
Yeah, probably about a tablespoon.
Like 12 ounces water?
Yeah, 12 to 16, they say. I find it works better with 12. I find it works best with like 2 ounces of water. Just drink it like a shot.
You're one of those guys. You don't want to be drinking too much water. That dilutes the blood.
Exactly, Tim. I need this blood. I don't want to be messing with the viscosity of my blood. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's delicious. It's not called Swedish Fish because I'm sure that's trademarked.
Yeah.
But it's wink wink. And also it's got like pictures of Swedish Fish gaming on it, so is
it like Nordic aquatic being or something?
No, it's called like Ragin like candy fish or something like that.
I would think that would be some sort of Cajun seasoning.
Nah, you once you get a look at it, I'll show you during the break, and all the questions will be removed from your mind.
All right, I'd like to drink it during the break.
I'll make you a little shot of it.
All right.
We'll see how it goes. I bet it would actually be good with like it would probably only be good with
I'm afraid
like
it would
vodka.
kill me, and I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to like rush to the hospital, Tom, because the last time we tried to do an iPod episode.
You had to rush to the hospital.
I did.
Yeah. So we tried to do an iPod episode back in October, and halfway through, you had a baby. Well, you didn't have it.
Right.
Your wife had it.
Right.
But
I was supporting her.
But we were. I think it was like maybe it was when Omicron was going nuts or something. Because we weren't recording in person.
Oh,
because you were like, I might have a baby.
Exactly.
I was like, what was the reason why we couldn't record in person? Because the due date now it's all becoming clear to me. You'll have to excuse me. I haven't had my gamer fuel today. Why
are your teeth all red?
That's different. Bloody gums, unrelated. You knew the due date. The due date was coming up, so we were trying to like stack episodes,
right?
So that we wouldn't have to record while you were in the hospital with your wife. And then we got halfway through the first episode of like 3, I think we were going to stack. And I hear your wife like off mic, of course, just be like, Can I talk to you for a minute? And then you were gone for a minute, and then you came back and you went, I have to go. I have to go. I have to leave. I have to go. And I was like, yeah, that's okay. Okay, bye.
Yeah, you were real cool about it, Tom. You're like,
it's
what?
Like, you son of a bitch.
Are you letting that woman run your life?
Yeah. You tell her cool her jets until we're done talking about the iPod. So we put that episode, that half episode out on Patreon. Well, you had nothing to do with it by that time, Tim. I had to finish everything up.
Did I tell you this? It was my week to, my son was born on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And it was my week to edit and post.
Yeah. For people that don't
episode.
know, and I guess you wouldn't unless you're me or you. We switch off weeks editing and posting the episodes.
Yeah. We don't have people to do it. You would think that we have this whole infrastructure here. Hey, we just come in, the mics are set up, we talk, and then some idiot puts them up. No, I'm that idiot.
Hey Gums offered that to us. I mean, they offered that when we first started, and we were like, nah, we like to do it ourselves. And they're like, great, we'll never ask again. I'm sure if we asked, like, hey, can somebody else do this? They'd probably be like, no, you should have taken us up on the offer years ago.
I think they'd probably be like, let me look into it, and then hope that we would lose interest or forget.
Which we would.
Like, yeah, we would absolutely. But I had not. So, like, my wife was in labor in our home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, before we were leaving. And I was supposed to, like, have the go bag all packed and stuff.
Jeez.
I had a lot of the stuff in there.
Well, a lot of the stuff isn't everything.
Exactly.
Tim.
I know. Believe me. Also, when you're running.
Yeah, also when you've got like 10,000 other things running through your brain, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you're like, what did I would say maybe even like almost filled go bag is probably worse than like an unfilled, because you probably couldn't remember what.
Yeah. It turns out we didn't really need all that stuff. So who was right? Me. All along.
Right.
It turns out my instincts were right. Don't pack a go bag. You won't need any of that stuff.
Yeah. We'll be in and out of there.
I was like, because like, they tell you, oh, you're going to get there, you're going to be there for hours. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I didn't download all these episodes of Frasier to an iPad so we could watch those during the downtime.
While our son's being born.
Yeah. Or like, while you're waiting.
Yeah.
So anyway, as I'm going from my wife who's like having contractions to like, hold on a second, I gotta I'm packing the go bag unbeknownst to her. So it's like, I just need to, and also have my computer.
What'd you tell her? No, I'm still recording with Tom.
No, also the other thing was I had a computer open on the kitchen table, and I'm like looking for episode artwork and like writing the description, finishing
for the episode,
editing the episode that was going up that week.
that we had already recorded before.
I posted, finally, from the hospital, Tom.
Wow.
Instead of nurturing my newborn son, doing this shit. Uploading episodes.
What a selfless man.
Using the Wi-Fi, misusing the hospital's Wi-Fi to put up this podcast.
Misusing.
They don't want me uploading a goddamn podcast.
Hey, stay off the upload stream.
Yeah, they got to put medical records up there.
We use the public Wi-Fi to upload our medical records.
Probably.
What if they aren't there in time? So you uploaded after your son was born or before?
No, I was editing. I think I got it up. I think I got like the ad-free version up on Patreon Saturday night, because that's when that goes out.
Yeah.
And then I had to like cut together the ads and upload to the other hosting service on Sunday after he was born. Like when we were supposed to be sleeping, like getting the only sleep we were getting for like the next 6 weeks, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna put my earbuds in real quick and do a bunch of work. I probably should have just like been like, hey man, I think you would have been happy to do it.
Oh, yeah, it would have been fun. I thought you were going to say I should have been like, hey, man, to your newborn son, can you just cool it for a minute so I can upload my podcast episode?
I don't know why I didn't just text you and be like, hey, I got like 80% done with this.
No, I think I might have even started doing it assuming that you weren't doing it. But I shouldn't have underestimated what a true podcaster and poor father you would be. Tim, this week, a sad week in tech because the last iPod was discontinued. There are officially no more iPods you can buy brand new from Apple itself.
I learned of this news from a very sincere Instagram post you did.
Yeah.
As if a member of your own family had passed.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, so we figured it out why we were doing this episode in October. It was the 20th anniversary of the iPod last October. And then the other day, the last iPod Touch, which like the iPod Touch was an iPod in name only.
It was a freaking iPhone.
It was an iPhone without the cellular antenna and like a headset and microphone thing.
Right.
But otherwise, it was identical. And even that, so apparently the iPod Touch that they were selling was last updated 3 years ago. And all that was they updated the chip inside. I think basically because the chip they were using previously.
The microchip?
Yeah, the microchip. Okay. They weren't making that chip anymore. So it was like, all right, we'll upgrade this thing because we stopped making that old one. We ran out of them. We kind of don't even want to give this like a newer chip, but we gotta if we're going to keep selling them.
Well, it's been... What a long, strange trip it's been over these
has.
last 2 decades, huh? I think we should spend the next 45 minutes taking a walk down memory lane.
Yeah. Does it surprise you that the iPod's 20 years old, or does that sound right?
I think I'm past the point
where things surprise you or don't surprise you.
Or like it's all a mush now.
Yeah.
It's all like, all right. 20 years ago does feel like a long time ago, but it also doesn't feel like I used to be like, oh man, 5 years. The difference between like first grade and fifth grade was crazy. It's like, yeah, you're a kid. I used
to be when I was in fifth grade.
No, but I used to like think about things.
Because back then that was like 50% of your life.
Exactly. Now I'm just like, yeah, time passes and stuff was a while ago. Stuff was like not that long ago, but still kind of long. I can't keep track of it.
Right.
And I can't be bothered to, fret about it.
Yeah, that was kind of my...
I do have the mindset of like, 1 second closer to death every second that passes.
Yep, 1 second closer every second.
Yeah. No, every second I think I have that thought.
That's a horrible thing to have running in your head all the time.
I know. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it was one of those for me, when I heard 20 years, I was like, really? But then I feel like that's the case with everything a long time ago nowadays. My first reaction is really, and then I think about everything that's happened in between.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah. Oh, it was only 20 years ago. Actually, now that I think about it, it feels like that was 30 years ago.
You're a big fan of that Seth and Amy bit where they go, really? Really? Right? Those are good jokes.
That's a good joke.
They'd say something. They'd be like, today President Bush said he was looking for weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Really? Do you think they're going to be there? Really? Do you?
It's a good joke. Good punchline.
Yeah.
Works for anything. But when you think about what the iPhone has been out for 15 years now, I think, or it will be 15 years this summer.
See,
and that's actually kind of surprising to me because then you think about, the iPod was kind of only around for like 5 years. Because like once the iPhone came out, iPods were still doing good for a little bit, for like maybe another year or two, but then that was kind of it.
Yeah. I mean, you also... I think more than the average person.
Yeah, more than the average bear.
Consumer tech products as kind of signposts or guideposts to like the passage of time. I don't think other people do. Like I probably think of like TV shows or movies in that way. But like for you being like, oh, it was only 5 years between the iPod and the iPhone. It's like, yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean,
that's
for
not
me,
the interesting fact you think it is, Tommy.
It is interesting. And the download numbers for this episode will bear that out, Tim. Unfortunately, we can't. There's no way to access how long anybody listens to one of these episodes. So we're just going to have to assume 99% of people are listening to the
made it through the cold brew talk at the top.
So basically, if somebody wanted to hear about nitty gritty stuff about the iPod, they're gone. They've left already.
Yeah.
And the people that are like, I just want to hear more cold brew talk. Now they've got to sit through iPod talk. Well, but I worked at an Apple store pretty much like right in the wheelhouse of the iPod's heyday.
Right. Yeah. You were a click wheel maven at that point.
Well, so you
were a master of the click. No one was better at clicking the wheel than you.
I had the first iPod, which did not have a click wheel, Tim. It had a regular wheel.
What do you mean?
The click wheel was the wheel that would also click, that you could like push the wheel itself. And the first one,
it had a button in the
it had buttons around the outside for like menu and like fast forward.
Tom,
rewind.
Guess what, asshole?
Guess what else? The wheel itself moved in the first one.
Tom, I know, I had it, and here's the thing: this is going to be sickening for you to hear. I had an iPod before you.
Is that true?
I was like a super early adopter of the iPod. I got the iPod the Christmas after it came out. It came out.
Okay, so yeah, it came out like it was announced in September. I think it maybe came out in October.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was brand new.
I read Mark Hoppus talking about it in Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah, you're a big Hoppus head. Hophead.
I don't care for his music.
Right, but his ideas and his consumer
I'll read
tech.
anything that he says, and I follow it to a T.
Yeah. So Apple gave him a free iPod in the hopes that he would talk about it during a Rolling Stone interview, which would then cause people like you to buy it.
Yeah.
And it worked.
And the first day I had it, I mounted it up to the dash of my car. Go through a McDonald's drive-thru. And the cashier was like, yo, what is that thing? And I spent like...
Wait, how prominently mounted did you have
it? Was
it?
like right next to the... He was like, oh, is that one of those iPods? And I like took it off.
I had it where the hood ornament would usually be.
No, it was it was like right next to the radio. But...
Were you playing with it while you were looking at
probably,
them?
I think it was like I think it was like I had just
have you
mounted
noticed
it.
This
and I was
isn't
like,
a CD player?
And like I was showing the guy, and like I think that guy went out and bought one.
Wow.
So, you know.
Regular.
I was on the street team, essentially, Tom.
Sent you and Mark Hoppus and this guy working the McDonald's drive-thru.
Yeah. Steve Jobs personally called me to thank me.
Well, I forgot. So my heartfelt post I put up the other day was a lie. I misremembered.
Much like everything else in your life.
I bought a Mac before I bought an iPod.
Okay.
I said an iPod, let me get a Mac. I remember like kind of not being super interested in the iPod, and it was more
until your friend Tim rolled up with it attached to his dashboard.
So did you
check out? I could fit all 3 Foo Fighters albums on this thing.
Well, did you have a Mac at that time? Because it was like Mac only at first.
No, I didn't.
So how'd you use it? Oh, no, it came with Rhapsody Music,
sure
I think
did.
it was called. Yeah. Rhapsody Jukebox. That was the name of the software, which was awful, if I recall.
I mean, iTunes at the time was awful, too.
No, iTunes at the time was good. iTunes now and for the past, 15 years has been awful.
How dare you, Tom?
No, iTunes at the time, because remember, before iTunes, Sam, it was Winamp. We all had to rely on old Winamp.
Yeah.
And other
but all
weird
I'm saying
things.
was the auto-syncing for the original iPod was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because the iPod couldn't
Not
hold
on
that
iTunes.
much. What?
Not on iTunes, Tim. Not on iTunes for the Mac. You're thinking of Rhapsody Jukebox.
No, same for the Mac. Like when I finally got a Mac.
It was a breeze.
It was like you had to
it was because...
It was like it was auto-sync, and that was like a big selling point.
Right. it would just sync your whole library over. Yeah, there was also a weird thing, though, not to get too technical, but now a lot of stuff's coming back to me. If you use your iPod with a Windows machine first and then use it with the Mac, it would work, but it would be slow because it was formatted for Windows.
I understand that, Tom. Mm-hmm. This was another iPod.
Yeah.
With another... used exclusively with a Mac.
Okay.
At the time, the syncing was terrible.
Yeah, it must have been something you were doing. Were you editing a lot of metadata?
I was editing a lot of metadata.
There you go.
I'm a metadata maven, just like you're a click wheel maven.
But I remember getting an iPod because for, I guess, maybe the second Christmas they were out.
Yeah.
Like a real loser.
A full year after I got
because I had a Mac and I was like, I loved it. I had an iBook and I wanted something to go with it. So I was like, oh, let me ask for an iPod. I got an iPod for Christmas and it was great. And then I remember taking that iPod. I was taking a class at college. Do you look back on some of the classes you took in college and now with the realization of like you paid money you not only paid money, you took out tremendous loans to take these classes?
I look back on every single minute of college and just think, what the hell was I thinking? What was I doing? Not even, all right, yeah, let alone some of the classes where it's like, why was I taking that class? Some of the other classes where it's like, all right, why didn't I like
go to it
and
pay
or
attention,
try or like learn anything from it? It's not that like they didn't I didn't learn.
Yeah,
I remember the first day of college, Tom. Because you go to college freshman year, and like they bring all the freshmen there early to like get you acclimated before the classes start. So I was there for like a week and a half
before the crowds.
And NYU was really cool because they had like big name concerts and stuff that were just for, like in like
big school in the biggest city in America.
Yeah, so like had all these really cool events for like a week and a half, and I was like, this rules. And
this is what college is gonna be like for 4 years.
Yeah, and then day one of classes. And I remember walking back from my third class of the day to my dorm and just being like, oh, fuck. This sucks.
This just sucks. Like school.
Yeah, I hate sitting in a class trying to learn something. I don't want to learn anything. I graduated. Didn't they hear I graduated last June? Friggin'
I'm done
walking
learning.
around here taking these classes. It's ridiculous.
Do you think, like, I mean, we very much grew up in a generation where all of our parents were like, our kids going to college, they're gonna go to the best college we can get them into, and that we can afford, and even if we can't afford it, we'll find a way. God damn it. I don't have a kid yet, but I feel like I'm gonna be to my kid like, nah, don't go to college. It's a waste of money.
Yeah.
Like if you want to take out loans, sure, but I'm not giving you any. I'll give you like, I don't know, $5,000 over 4 years. That actually happened. I remember when I was like getting ready to go to college. My dad telling me he's like, I think he like sat me down. He's like, your grandpa just told me a very huge thing. He's going to pay for your college. And I was like, holy shit, like that's great. He's like, you need to call him and thank him. And then when I called him during the course of the conversation, it came out that he thought the cost of 1 year was 4 years and reneged on the deal.
That's fair.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I don't even think he gave me money for that first year. I don't know what happened with that. Again, also, I remember just kind of like not just like signing, loan. Yeah, sure. Whatever. I'll sign that.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I think that when I have a kid, I'm going to be like, don't go to college. It's a waste of money. Here, watch some YouTube videos and then go get a job.
I mean, I think college will just be YouTube videos at that point.
Yeah. And probably cost 5 times as much still. I mean, the college is great. Except it's way too expensive to like actually be worth it.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to a really good college where it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be roommates with a senator
Yeah.
Because I went to Harvard, and then that I'm just going to be able to skate through life. But also, if you got into Harvard, you're probably going to be able to skate through life regardless. You know, the people that get those kinds of connections are probably the people that need them the least.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They could just put their money in a savings account and then be fine.
Do better than
probably do better than like blowing their parents' money on like dumb business ideas or like opening a club or whatever. Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like forgetting to mute yourself on Zoom, and everyone hears you trash talking to your coworkers and farting and pooping in the bathroom.
What do you do on Zoom meetings, Tom?
It may just be a bit of harmless banter, but what happens if your boss overhears you talking about his receding hairline? Get in my office! I've told you not to do that!
Reynolds! Have you been talking about my hairline?
Internet service providers.
Like my wife.
Internet service providers know every single website you visit, and ISPs can and do sell this information to ad companies and tech giants who use your data to target you. Yeah, you ever wonder why you're like, I was looking on this on Twitter. Why am I getting Facebook ads? Because the ISPs are selling you out, baby. ExpressVPN reroutes your network traffic through a secure encrypted tunnel so your ISP can't see or sell your online activity. It's so simple to use. You fire up the app and you click one button. It doesn't get any easier than that. Rated #1 by CNET and TechRadar, it works on phones, laptops, even routers. So everyone can share your Wi-Fi. Everyone who shares your Wi-Fi can be protected. Tim, I use ExpressVPN all the time, wherever even when I'm connected at home. You never know. I don't want my ISP knowing anything about me.
Agreed. They're a bunch of scoundrels, if you ask me.
Protect your online privacy by visiting expressvpn.com/guide today. That's expressvpn.com/guide. And you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/guide. So Tim, as I mentioned, I had the first iPod, and like a second iPod came out. That iPod, it looked the same, but the touch wheel didn't move. But when I started working for Apple, I think it was the week before or the week of that the iPod-mini came out.
Yeah.
And that's when like shit really went bonkers.
Did the iPod-mini come out before the video iPod?
Yes, way before.
Okay.
The iPod-mini was the second iPod, because I remember for like a year,
it was aluminum, Tom.
Aluminium, yeah. For a couple of years, there were, I don't know if necessarily rumors, but just like people saying they've got to make a cheaper iPod.
Right.
You know, the iPod's great, everybody loves it, but I think it was like $300 for the base model.
Songs, Tom.
Yeah. And people were like, they got to make a cheaper one, so they did, and that cheaper one was
$399.
But maybe by a year later, it was $300, I think.
Okay. It was released on November 10th, 2001.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It was announced on October 23rd. I have the original press release, Tom. October 23rd, 2001. How pissed do you think Steve Jobs was about 9/11?
Oh, probably. Actually, maybe.
He probably heard the news and was just like, livid that it was going to ruin his product launch.
Maybe it gave them like another month to actually finish everything. But
no, he was mad for personal reasons.
But yeah, I just remember the iPod was around $300, which was still too expensive. And they were like, good news, we've come out with a cheaper iPod. It's only $249. And that one was 4 gigs. Instead of, I believe at the time, the iPods were up to like maybe 10 or 20 gigs.
The base model was 5 for $399 when it launched.
Yeah.
The only information I have in front of me is the original press release for the
I just
iPod.
remember the Mini was not that much cheaper and held significantly fewer songs,
right,
but was a gigantic hit because it came in colors. And people went bonkers for these colors, and because it was even smaller. It was very tiny.
And you know what else I went bonkers for?
What?
Bum, bum, ba-da, bum, bum, ba-da.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Jet the band. To this day, one of the biggest bands in the world.
Legends of the rock scene. Jet.
I was working at the Apple Store. I remember I got I look them up every once in a while because it's one of those things.
Jet?
No, not Jet. I look up. So I got these commemorative shoes. These
Do you still have them?
Yeah. I'm saying shoes. They weren't shoes. They were Nikes.
All right. Guess what, Tom?
Yeah,
Guess what
Nikes. I know, but shoes makes it sound like I have commemorative iPod dress shoes or something. They were Nikes. And I keep looking. I look up every once in a while. I think they're like so obscure that people don't even collect them. Because I keep thinking like, sooner or later, my ship's going to come in. I'm going to be able to retire off of these commemorative Nikes that were only given to Apple employees. And remember, at the time, I think there were fewer than 100 Apple stores.
Right.
So it was like, I don't know, 1,000 people got these shoes.
Right. And what does it say, iPod on them?
No, they came in, they're black, but the accent colors were in the colors of the iPod-mini. Mm-hmm. And then they were classy. And then they
Can you rattle off those colors like it's
blue, green, silver,
so
pink.
Just regular color. Okay.
Yeah. I think blue, green, silver, pink. I think those were the only colors because they were, it was aluminum. So it was kind of like, well, what colors can we make aluminum at least at that time? At that time.
What? 2003?
Yeah, I guess they could have made black aluminum, but they didn't. They made these colors.
What year was this?
2004.
Okay.
Because it had the date that the iPods came out with stitched into the Nikes.
2004. America's ill-fated war in Iraq was in its second year.
Really?
The popular Weekend Update segment, with Seth and Amy, was taking
America by storm.
Sorry. What else was in the shoes? It said iPod on them?
No, it didn't say iPod. It just had.
You're not going to get any money for this.
It just had the date stitched into it.
9/11/2001.
These things were classy as hell. No, it was like a little after. I want to say it was 2004.
Let's roll.
It was a little it was like a little bit after Valentine's Day, and people went crazy for these things, especially the pink one. We had people going crazy, including and ironically, I've thought about this a lot lately. Wife of Neil Young, Daryl
Hannah.
I thought I was gonna say Daryl Hammond. Daryl Hannah came into my store.
Not at the time, wife of
Not
Neil
at the time, of course. After she married.
Neil was still with Peggy Young. All was well with the world.
After she married Neil Young, Neil said, no, you're a Pono girl now.
Yeah.
And throw those iPods away. But she came into our store and wanted a pink iPod mini. And this was also like, we got like a small shipment of them.
Tom, this is the Hannah-sance.
Yeah.
This is Kill Bill era, Daryl Hannah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
You didn't give it to her?
Listen, we had they sent us a shipment of iPod minis. It took us like a couple of days to sell them. Like they weren't that big of a deal because I think word had.
Even with the shoes?
Yeah, even with the shoes.
Even when people got kind of with the shoes?
The thing was
they should have wrote fucking iPod on the shoes that people would know to ask you.
No, because here's the thing with the shoes. It was dumb. It was not coordinated well. These shoes came like a year later after the iPod mini was gone.
Were they backdated to?
They still had the launch day of the iPod mini,
right.
but they just came like way later.
Interesting.
And it was like, is this like part of the uniform? Or are we supposed to wear these? And they were like, I think that was the idea, but we don't sell this product anymore. So they're just yours. Just enjoy them. Maybe you can save them for 20 years, sell them on eBay and retire.
I have a Dream Team 1992 NBA Dream Team Olympic jacket.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Tim. People bought that.
No,
nobody bought that. Nobody was into the Dream Team.
Guess what? Listen to this.
Okay.
You had to send away from it from a box of cereal.
Yeah, that's where you can make the real money.
It's made out of Tyvek, Tom. Space-age polymer.
One of the nicest fabrics you can have, a jacket made out of.
Every once in a while I look. Mm-hmm. These things are going for $8 on eBay.
$8? Yeah.
This is the freaking Death of Superman all over again.
Probably easy to pirate, though. Easy to bootleg. You just get some Tyvek at the store. You can't boot
the art, Tom. The artwork on this. It's a very busy.
I bet you could put some Tyvek in a.
You got the pictures of every guy. You have caricatures of everybody.
Oh, caricatures?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they knew the print quality wouldn't be that good. So they're like, wait, put on caricatures. Don't put regular pictures.
Doesn't matter how good the print quality is.
Anyway, we got these iPod minis.
Daryl Hannah comes in.
It took a while. It took a few days for them to sell out. But I feel like in those few days, like that's when word got out.
Right.
So it was like when we had
it was a whisper campaign.
Yeah. Like nobody was really coming in for them.
It was a groundswell.
Yeah. Or people were coming in, they're like, oh, what's that? And we would tell them like, oh, it's holds half as much as this and it's $50 less. And they'd be like, well, I don't want that.
But it's colorful and it's smaller.
It is colorful. But then all of a sudden, yeah, there was a groundswell. And nobody less than Daryl Hannah came in, and we told Daryl we got that first shipment, and then we didn't get a shipment for like a month or two. She came in, she wanted one, and we were like, oh, unfortunately they've been sold out.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hannah.
Well, she went, you have some in the back for people like me.
Did you?
No.
Well, that's your problem.
That's people that were in Splash. We have some in the back for you and
goof.
Tom Hanks. No, it wasn't our goof.
You're telling me Tom Hanks comes in, you don't find one in the back.
Tom Hanks comes in. I'm taking one from somebody else and just giving it to him.
Daryl Hannah deserves your respect.
We didn't have it though. We didn't save shit for celebrities because who gives a shit about celebrities?
Apple.
Yeah, but
remember the Mark Hoppus thing?
That's
true. It got early adopters and influencers such as myself on board.
Apple was like so weird with celebrities. Like when
they act like they're freaking above it, and then it's like, oh, the credits of every TV show, promotional consideration provided by Apple. It's like Apple's like, oh, we don't need to do that stuff.
When the Fifth Avenue Apple store opened, there were like so many celebrities that showed up. And the reason why was because Apple reached out to a bunch of publicists and told them, hey, if your clients come to the store, we'll give them a MacBook for free. So like there are all these like pictures from that night of like Spike Lee and Dave Chappelle and like Hugh Jackman like walking in waving and then like 3 minutes later walking out with a brand new MacBook under their arm. But I also remember one time my store manager was like, come outside right now. It is important. I gotta introduce you. And like I come outside and he's like, and he like introduces me to this guy, and it was Jordan Knight from New Kids on the Block.
All right.
But I didn't recognize him. I didn't know who he was. So it just turned into like a really embarrassing situation of him being like, pretty cool, huh? Like right in front of him. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then it being obvious that he's like, you don't know who this is, do you? And I'm like,
he said that in front of Jordan Knight.
Yeah. And I was like, brother. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't. And
that's his fault.
And then once he said, I was like, oh, and now I recognize you. But it's like,
but you're like washed up now.
No, it wasn't that he was washed up. It was just like,
the new kids were like they're still going strong. Like they never stopped.
I think this was like
they turned sexy at one point. They started sounding like talking, singing dirty songs.
Ooh, I'll have to look into some of these.
Yeah.
No, this was, I feel like kind of the beginning of that, of them like relaunching themselves as like, hey, our fans,
sex machines.
Our fans are now like adults with a lot of disposable income.
Right.
We can tour again. But yeah, he was a nice enough guy. He took it in stride that I didn't know who he was. He didn't.
What's he gonna do? Have a fit?
Know. You know what? And now I think about it, he got a bunch of free shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Daryl Hannah, like I said,
yeah, Daryl Hannah was right. Yeah, maybe I should have asked him. Maybe we did have ones in the back for people like her. But anyway, that's the iPod. Well, that's some of the iPod. I want to talk a little bit. I have notes about like the beginning, like how the iPod was created
with Eddie Q.
No, Eddie Q is the iTunes guy. Tony Fadell is the godfather of the iPod.
The bass player for No Doubt.
No. different Tony.
This is Tony Canal.
Yeah, this is Tony Fadell. And he was actually just like a freelancer for Apple. Like Apple kind of had the idea, this one executive like found out about these tiny hard drives Toshiba was making and was like, oh, that seems like it would be good for something. Like we'll buy those and like exclusively license those hard drives. And then hired somebody else to be like, hey, figure out how to make a music player with all this stuff. And they went from like idea to like finish launch in like 10 months, like something crazy. Like they really put it together pretty quickly.
Songs in your pocket.
Yeah. Well, it made a lot of sense. People got it. People got the idea. iPod comes from Open the Pod Bay Doors, Hal, from
2001.
A Space Odyssey.
Is that the movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Never seen that film.
Me neither. I've seen parts of it. It's very long and boring, apparently, but also like very good.
If I ever become a drugs guy,
maybe
let's do drugs, Tom. And I can't. I have a baby now.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of drugs are you talking about?
Weed.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like
cannabis.
Let's do like some cocaine and
no, you can't. That
and
you're gonna get
you're gonna get very bored. Or I thought maybe you meant like acid or mushrooms.
Nah.
But I feel like that's the kind of movie where you don't need that because it's like, no, the movie trips you out, man.
You just need something where you don't realize how long it is and how boring it is.
Right.
And I felt like it's been since college since I smoked weed, but
Tim, you smoke weed for
the Patreon.
For the Patreon, for money.
But it made
like a whore.
It made things that were long seem short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It could be like, okay,
I
let me
feel like
do some
cocaine
things.
probably does that too.
Nah.
Yeah, I feel like it certainly would like disrupts your.
I don't think I know anyone who's done cocaine.
You know people who've done cocaine.
Name them.
I'm not going to name them on the podcast.
I'll bleep them out.
No.
Name
no,
one.
I'm not going to name them.
Just name one person that we know.
You know,
I'm not going to bleep it.
No, no, you're not going to bleep it. I'm struggling to. No, I can tell you off mic. You know people who've done cocaine.
Okay.
Not me. And that's serious. Not me.
Okay.
Not.
I don't. I don't
my
care.
mom doesn't even know how to listen to this. I'm just putting it out there.
I saw it at a party in Los Angeles one time.
Tim, save it for your memoir.
People were doing it.
Save it for your
so mad that I was there. They could tell that I was not a drugs guy. They weren't like, hey, you want to do this cocaine with us? They were just like, get out of here, snake.
Were you Snake? Sorry, my lawnmower starting up.
They found me. The cokeheads from that party.
We knew you weren't cool. We knew you would tell. Tim, do you remember in 2000, actually also the same year, 2004, the HP iPod?
Yeah, Hewlett-Packard.
Very, very weird thing so when the iPod came out, there were a few MP3 players, but then once it like really started taking off, like every other tech company was like, we got to have a competitor. So Microsoft famously came up with the Zune, which
history has been kind to.
Yeah, I think it wasn't that. You know what? I'll say this about the Zune.
It was cool and rubbery.
I'll say this about the Zune. They didn't copy the iPod.
Right.
They like copied the size, I guess, but like it had like a cross for the interface, not a circle. And like
for those of us who
follow the path of Jesus. It wasn't no, Tim, it was like both sides were the same size.
Plus sign.
It was a plus sign. But it had like a different UI. So credit where credit's due, they didn't just be like, we'll just make that too.
Right.
Dell had something, I forget what it was called, but I think that was like real shitty, like nobody liked that. I think it was something that they like tried to push, where it was basically, I think the only ones they sold were when you were configuring a Dell, they at like the last screen, it would be like, do you need a keyboard and mouse? Do you need a Dell Player HD?
It doesn't matter. Like, it was probably pretty much the same thing as an iPod.
No, because you're forgetting one of the big, like, controversial things at the time was that only the iPod would sync with iTunes. Nothing else could sync with iTunes.
Oh, right.
And yeah, iTunes had a lot of problems, but everything else was like 1,000 times worse. Right. And back then you couldn't buy music in places other than iTunes.
Right. Well, guess what? A lot of people weren't buying music.
No, but
even though when you opened up the iPod in the box, it says "Don't steal music" right there on the iPod.
It had a wrapping, like a plastic wrap. The same way like phones now, when you buy them, they have a plastic wrap you have to like undo. It said "Don't steal music" on it, which seemed like a wink.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's possible to put stolen music on it. Like, just in case you thought that you couldn't
just in case. Well, but the first iPod...
The fact that we're asking you means that it's possible to do it. Well, but we're on the honor system here.
I think, we take a lot of stuff for granted, and the first iPod came out before the iTunes store, but one of the big things about iTunes that was so cool was that it could rip CDs to MP3s.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, everything before... Not everything, I'm sure there were other shit. But like for the most part, you had to get a separate program to rip a CD, then another program to compress that into an MP3. Then you could put it into your library.
Do you remember how stupid are we that we didn't go around to every boomer in the world who bought an iPod and just be like, hey, I'll put your
there
CD
were services
collection.
That did this.
Yeah, but the neighborhood boy doing it. Someone you trust.
Yeah, and we were both the titular neighborhood boys back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our neighborhoods were adjacent, but they didn't overlap, so we would have had distinct territories.
Well, eventually, it would have gotten to the point where there would have been a bloody turf war.
Yeah.
No, but we were both like the neighborhood boys who had graduated college and then moved back home and didn't really know what we were going to do. Yeah. That's what we should have been doing. We should have been running that. Yeah. And also... Because I remember there were services, and there were even like mail away services where you could mail them your CDs. And we would have been the smart neighborhood boys, the gray market neighborhood boys who would have been like, yeah, don't bother sending us the CDs. We got them already.
Yeah, my dad's got Sergeant Pepper.
Yeah. What do you want? Just tell us what you want. I mean, especially, we probably could have just could have taken out all the work and just been like, it's a boomer pack. It's 5 gigabytes. It's
Traveling Wilburys.
Traveling Wilburys. It's got Rolling Stones. It's got the Beatles. It's got I don't know. There's gonna be some
like I think it should be a little bit customizable because some of them you could tell if they're like a Grateful Dead or a Steely Dan.
Yeah, do you lean towards folk? Do you lean towards?
Am I putting Harry Chapin on this, or am I putting Hall and Oates? Right, and it's two different guys right there.
Yeah, we probably could have just put like check boxes, like check off like your top 50 artists or whatever. Well, the thing was too,
because it only held 1,000 songs.
Yeah, but they got up to like 20 gigs pretty quickly, and I feel like 20 gigs was like a very good size for like 95% of people, because that was 4,000 songs, so that was roughly 300 to 400 CDs.
Yeah.
Like that was more CDs than the average person had.
Right.
Even more than like the average like music buff had probably at that point.
I mean, I had thousands.
I'm not. Yeah. Okay. So you're not the average one, but I'm just saying, I think we could have run a service, 300 CDs. Here are the top 300 CDs that boomers love. It's got something for everyone. And that's just the service. And we charge you $100 for that.
No, here I say we take it one step further.
And
we say, give me $1,000.
Why are we arguing this so much? Like we're gonna find a time machine, and this is what we're gonna go back and do.
$1,000, and I'll give you I'll go get the iPod.
Yeah,
I'll load it up.
Deliver
Deliver it to you.
I don't think you could charge $1,000.
$800.
I think you could charge maybe a couple of $100 over the premium. Maybe depending on the marketing. Maybe if you were like to buy all these songs would cost $4,000 and there's no other way to get them aside from that. And if there is, you tell us how to do it.
Yeah.
You figure it out, knucklehead, and tell us, and we'll be happy to do that. And they won't be able to figure it out.
Yeah. The time they were like our age.
Yeah. There's probably some.
We're gonna get scammed by some Gen Z.
Yeah, like your TikTok.
We don't have enough
isn't
disposable income to
to be scammed that
to be
well
on their radar.
But shortly after, it was like a year after, maybe 2 years after the iPod Mini, the iPod Nano came out.
That was a piece of shit.
What do you mean?
Was that little square?
No.
Oh, okay.
This was like the iPod Mini, but flat. It was the first one with solid state storage.
Oh, yeah.
That one, it was thinner than a pencil, I remember, from like the marketing.
Cool.
But that was the first thing that I remember, like 1,000 songs in your pocket. It was very cool, but you like understood how it worked. The Nano was the first thing that I remember the first time I held it. It was like, this doesn't make sense. How is there this much music inside this very tiny? It fit into that fifth pocket in your jeans. That's how small it was.
But when you sat down, it would crack in half if you kept it in that pocket.
Just don't sit down. Yeah, the first generation had a lot of problems. It could easily be bent in half. The whole surface of it, the front of it was plastic it was like a very soft plastic that would scratch very easily and like get scuffed very easily. So it wasn't even like, oh, I wanted this to be pristine and now it's not pristine. It's like, no, it's so scuffed I can't read the screen anymore. Right.
Tom, can I go on a tangent real?
Sure. But let me just say they replaced that with an aluminum model, I think, like the next year.
Thank God.
And it was like, oh, all the problems are solved. And that was probably like the best iPod, that second gen Nano that was aluminum and worked great.
Do you remember that the iPod became so ubiquitous? This was probably I think it was my senior year of college, so 2004. That the media claimed that everybody was walking around with the white earbuds in, right? And that's how you could tell somebody was listening to an iPod. They came
with the iPod.
That people would walk up to each other silently on the street, and they would unplug their headphones, and that meant that you did that with your iPod.
And you would switch.
And you swapped, and you heard what they were listening to, and they heard what you were listening to.
Yeah, that was like after everybody talking about toothing.
What's toothing?
It was when Bluetooth first came out on phones. They said people would like just send messages to all the phones around them and then go have anonymous sex in the park based on that. So yeah, basically things that it's like maybe this happened once.
Yeah.
And now the media was like, this is happening all over the place. I remember also people coming into the store all the time complaining about the headphones that came with the iPod and being like, these are a piece of shit. And always being like, yeah, they're free. They came with the thing.
Free. They're, I mean.
Well, it was just like they came with it. You can plug any headphones in. I wish I could go back in time
and
be like.
Did Hannah know that?
I wish I could go back in time and be like, well, you're going to be very sorry. They're going to take away the headphones, and then they're going to take away the headphone jack itself. They're not even going to let you plug in whatever you want.
That's what you would do when you went back in time?
That's what I would do. I forgot.
See, I was going to bilk the boomers.
Well, we could do both. I didn't finish explaining what the HP iPod was. It was basically HP being like, we're going to make
Hewlett-Packard.
We're going to make a player.
The printer company.
We're going to make an MP3 player. They made computers at the time too. And then soon after announcing they were going to make a player, they were like, actually, we're just going to license the iPod. I forget what they
sold it at Best Buy in a different kiosk.
Yeah. So basically it was a way like at the time, I mean, it's crazy to think about now because Apple's like the biggest company in the world, but they were so tiny back then. They didn't have like distribution deals with stores. So it was easier for them to, HP already sold stuff at like Best Buy and Radio Shack. You know, and thinking about like
Radio what?
Apple
what Shack?
Apple, 18 years ago being like, we got to get in Radio Shack. How do we do it, though? There's so much money to be made. And easier than like negotiating a deal with a Radio Shack. It was, well, HP already has a deal. Why don't we basically sell iPods in bulk to HP? HP will engrave them with an HP logo on the back.
There's something blue about them too, right?
Originally, they were going to be blue instead of white, which was cool and which would have been like
a variant.
Yeah.
You would have bought one.
Probably. I like that. It was like a cool light blue. It was the same blue my iPhone is now, I think. I definitely would have bought one.
How did they release prototypes or something? Or like,
no, I remember Carly Fiorini, former candidate for president of the United States.
She had some good ideas.
She has some very good ideas. Like, why don't we sell iPods? Held up like at a keynote, like a blue iPod, and said that was what they were going to be selling. But it was like a blue, like I want to say maybe 3rd gen iPod. And by the time they actually started selling them, it was 4th gen. But instead, all it had was on the back, it said HP, like right above the Apple logo. Mm-hmm. Well, and then actually, because I remember we'd have a big chuckle at the Apple store because I think maybe always or later it said,
you condescending fucks behind the Genius
it said HP, and it had their like motto at the time, which was invent. And we were like, this is something they didn't invent. Right. And they're putting their
you guys invented it, the guys working at the mall,
geniuses.
Yeah.
But so it just had a different box and an HP, and it was the hugest fucking pain in the ass because the warranty was through HP, not through Apple.
This is a very niche complaint.
Well, so basically we had people come in all the time with these and we couldn't help them. And they would get furious, understandably, because it was like, it's an iPod. It's like, I know, but it's not really. The serial numbers are complete. It's just, we can't do anything about
Tom,
it.
Can I give you a free idea?
You have to go to HP.
Can I give you a free idea?
Sure.
And this is going to ruin this show.
Uh-huh.
Stop with this. Start a niche podcast about all the minutia about working for the Apple store in the early 2000s.
Uh-huh.
Like all of this. Like all the serial numbers and all the jokes.
Well,
and
Tim, I don't remember all the serial numbers. Come on.
But, you'll have a small audience.
Uh-huh.
Your Patreon could be $400 a month. There will be like 1,000 people that will do that, and you'll just you can. All
right. Well, hey, sound off in the comments if that's something you'd like to see from me. So the Nano. And the other big variant of the iPod I want to talk about, the iPod Shuffle.
Yeah, that was a piece of crap.
Why do you say that? I've heard this from a lot of people, and I thought the iPod Shuffle was the coolest thing.
It's for people who don't like music.
It's for people that like music but are indecisive.
No, it's for people like... You might just listen to the goddamn radio. It's free.
So what if I'm underground where the radio waves don't penetrate? For people that don't remember or weren't alive during this, the iPod Shuffle was a really tiny iPod. First, it was like a USB stick. And then the future versions were like the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah, just a square.
And it had no screen. And all it could do was shuffle. Actually, it could play stuff in order or shuffle, but the idea was you would shuffle. And the idea was you would sync it up. I think on iTunes by default, it would be like, hey, do you want to sync like your most listened to songs and songs you've rated like 4 or 5 stars?
Did you ever rate music in iTunes?
Yes, because then you could set up like smart playlists. I'll save this for my other podcast.
Yeah, please.
Tim. Hey, if you like the show,
no, hold on.
What? We'll do it after the plugs.
And then you plug in headphones into this little plastic square piece of shit.
It was aluminum, Tim. Well, the first one was plastic.
And you hit play.
Yeah.
And it just plays a random song.
Yeah.
You're not in the mood for that.
Yeah, it's like the radio.
You gotta click the next. It's for people who are like, oh, do I want to listen to "Don't Stop Believin'" into Bohemian Rhapsody, and then "Smells Like Teen Spirit"?
You don't. What music service do you use? Like streaming service?
Apple Music.
Apple Podcasts. I only listen to podcasts. You never click on like Tim's station, which is like songs that it thinks you would like to listen to?
No, I didn't know that was a thing.
This sounds pretty cool, though.
No, I look for the music that I want to listen to, and then I play that music. Yeah, but
sometimes aren't you like indecisive? I do that a lot. Where like I'll put on the like station for me.
Take charge of your life, Tom.
Listen, and I'll skip through things, and then
Silicon Valley tell you what you're going to listen to.
I'll hear something, and I'll go, "Oh, right, I haven't listened to that album in years," and then I'll go listen to that album.
Sorry, I.
It's a good like conversation starter between me and music. That's the way I see music. I don't know about you.
Oh, what Batman video game soundtrack do I want to listen to today?
If you like the show, you can find out more at tcgt.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/complete guide. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/complete guide. Follow us
Facebook. Are we on Facebook?
Yeah. Follow us on actually, I should mention, like, people message us on Facebook sometimes. Look, I don't see those messages for like months. And Tim never sees them. Don't message us on Facebook. Why are you
saying the first thing is follow us on Facebook?
All right, don't follow us on Facebook. Unfollow us on Facebook.
Yeah.
And follow us on Instagram, a completely unrelated company at TCGTE.
Follow us on all the things, because if we ever sign with an agent, Tom, they're going to be like, what are your social numbers?
Yeah, so there you go. If follow we ever sign with an agent. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Reynolds.
Follow me at your pal Tim.
And you can check out our subreddit, r/TCGTE, and also our Discord, which is linked in the tcgt.com, but most of all, patreon.com/complete guide for our weekly bonus episodes. This week, we are watching the movie of On the Road that I just finished reading the awful book, and now we're going to Tim watched the awful movie. Spoiler alert, I watched like the first half hour of the movie. And we're going to talk about that. You get that and all the back episodes of Books and Podcasts, Amazing Facts, and more. You were making fun of me for listening to the Batman soundtrack. Fucking like a decade ago, I turned on Spotify's like share what you're listening to, and Facebook, it was like while I was working, I was just listening to movie and video game soundtracks. No, so I'm
saying it wasn't a Danny Elfman score.
No,
it was a video game.
Yeah, it was one of the Arkham games, which are very good and have very good soundtracks. I stand by it.
Okay.
And I wasn't like fucking rocking out to it. I
think you were rocking out. I think you put the cowl on.
I was doing work and pretending I was Batman while I was doing it.
I was doing my detective work.
Yeah, Tim, it's important work. What's your favorite iPod? The U2 iPod?
No, I'm surprised you didn't brag about your Frankenstein iPod.
Oh yeah, because I had a. I like took apart a like broken U2 iPod and combined it with a regular Red. iPod and I think it was before Project Red. I think it was that I had a black iPod but with the gray wheel instead of the red wheel. No, the U2 one had a red wheel.
That's what.
But I took the red wheel out. So it was just like it just looked like a black iPod.
You had a custom iPod. You were the only person in America besides Steve Jobs
that had a custom iPod.
Yeah.
But you were the only person in America.
Yeah. That was a dream
Tim,
you had.
It sure felt like it when I put that iPod together and turned it on for the first time. Yeah. Well, boy. I mean, I didn't even get into when I was working at Apple for a few years there. I was a genius, as Tim alluded to earlier. And these iPods were very, very poorly made products that failed very often.
Yeah, my favorite iPod was the very first generation that I got, because mine failed at some point.
Yeah, any of the hard drive ones, like hard drives, I mean, there kind of aren't hard drives in most things nowadays that like consumers buy, but they were not. Hard drives are basically like little tiny record players with like little magnetic needles and little spinning discs. They're not things meant to be put in a pocket and moved around. so many microscopic moving parts, and Apple put these in iPods, and sure enough, just using them normally broke the shit out of 99% of them, it felt like.
So I sent it in because it broke my first generation, and they sent me a new sealed in a box first generation iPod.
It might have been a refurbished one.
Maybe. But all I know is in like 2008, I didn't have any money, and you were like, "Do you still have that thing?" And I think I sold it on eBay for like
because I think you
$900 or something. Which now I'm sure I could sell it for more.
Yeah.
But like,
because you like bought a new one, I think, and then I told you like, "Oh, that old one, if it was still under warranty,
it was."
Oh, I think it was, you just got a battery replacement.
Something
it was like
happened.
$60 to get the battery replaced. So you just
and then I sold it for like almost $1,000, I think, on eBay.
Yeah. Well, if you look at what that's probably worth now, it'll probably make you sick.
How much do you think?
$10,000.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
I needed it then. Like it was
right. Yeah, that $1,000 back then was worth a lot more than $10,000 right now for you.
Yeah, it's not like, I'm not on the verge of moving back home with my parents. If this doesn't come through for me.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot to owe the iPod and Steve Jobs and me.
And don't forget Tony Fadell.
The basis of No Doubt, of course. Who could forget him?
See you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.